Okay, all right. Okay, good morning, everyone. It is enormous pleasure that we initiate our PRB SSG meeting in Pirata 25. 25 years. It's an extremely important moment in the Pirata history in which we have accomplished all we had, and we have big challenges ahead of us that we will discuss today and tomorrow. And to mark this importance of this moment, we have today in our opening ceremony, the representatives of the Pirata Memorandum of Understanding from Brazil, our Director of INPE, and our Secretary of State, Marcelo Morales, our Director, INPE Director, Clésio Denardim, NOAA's Director of Global Observations for the Oceans, David Legler, and representing IRD's directors and Meteo France directors, our colleague Bernard Borles and Erne Giordani. And this is so important that we have this moment that we can make and present how important the Pirata is for society and the institutions that support and allow us to dream beyond what people think is dreamable. So this is our challenge for today. And if you allow me, I will show in the screen our proposed agenda. And I will leave this microphone here. So then we shall have the words from our secretary, and then our director, INPE director, and the representatives are IRD Miro France, and our representative from NOAA. After this, we'll make a break, and we'll have 3 short presentations. One that put in context the history, where we began to celebrate the moments that we passed, and the title is Pirata Project Poised for Success. How did we do it? And we will have also the opportunity to have the INPE representative is the National Institute for Ocean Research in Brazil, that will be covered by our secretary. And later, Bernard Borles will present a synthesis of the achievements that the Pirata Project reached during these years. So without much ado, I will hand on the microphone to our secretary, and thank you, secretary, and asking you your word.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. First, I would like to thank the organizers for this important meeting that celebrates the 25th anniversary of Pirata Project. That's very important for the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. And for me as a scientist and also the State Secretary for Science and Technology and Innovation is proud for all of us. First, I would like to thank he's not here, but I would like to thank him. He was very important in the construction of this initiative, the Admiral Marcos Sampaio Olsen, and here representing him, I would like to thank Janice for all the work that the Navy has been done, not only in this project, together with the MCTI, but several projects. is very important, the construction between the Navy and the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. And I would like to thank also the director from INPE, Clésio Nardim. Clésio, one project more together, and that we are working very hard to have money. That is really very important for all the projects in science, technology, innovation. We usually say that science is very expensive, but without science, we are in trouble. So in different aspects, we used to say this in health, but we know in all the aspects, science is really very important. In health, we used to say if science is expensive, try the disease. So I'm saying that because I'm a medical doctor, so we used to say that. And also, I would like to thank the representative of the RRD's director, Bernard Boulet, and also the Metro of France director, representative Giordani, and NOAA's Office of Global Program. David, thank you so much for one more initiative that we work together. Thank you very much. And Paulo Nobre. Paulo, you are very, very important for us. There's so many initiatives that we work together. You are there for all the problems that we have to solve problems. So I would like to initially thank you for the invitation to participate in this event that celebrates 25th anniversary of the data collection by the Pirata Project. And the project, which studies the ocean-atmosphere interaction in the tropical Atlantic that affects regional climate variability at seasonals, internal and longer time scale, integrates the actions of commitments of the MCTI, the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation, especially the initiatives linked to the Secretariat of Research and Scientific Training that I'm ahead of. Among the initiatives being developed by the MCTI from the Secretariat, I highlight the MCTI Science at Sea program that we put together since the beginning in 2019 when I took place in the Secretariat, because all the programs were very dispersed and we put together and we made a strategy for the ocean, with aims to manage Brazilian science in oceanic and coastal waters and transitional environments. The program is committed to advancing ocean research to produce and apply scientific and technology development seeking to achieve social, economic, and environmental benefits. And I'm going to say again, social, economic, and environmental benefits. The ultimate goal is to promote the sustainable use of conservation of the ocean in line with 2030 agenda in the decade of the ocean science. Our commitment to the future of the ocean is reflected in the investment of resource and institutional actions that are essential for advancing knowledge for sustainability. In the current administration, approximately 180 million were mobilized to advance science in the ocean and Antarctica, improve research infrastructure, promote scientific dissemination of the ocean culture. Among this budget amounted approximately 2 million to support the Pirata project, in addition to the Days of the Sea on our ship Vital de Oliveira, also supported by MCTI with more than 15 million. I would like to share with you some of the recent initiatives that the MCTI supports in a very strategic manner. The strategy was constructed by a committee of specialists. I'm a medical doctor, I'm not a specialist in ocean, so I have a committee of specialists for all the decisions. And I would like to share with you this, that is very important. One of them is the National Oceanic Research Institute, will be the social organization to support the management of the ocean research at the tactical and operational level, and will contribute to the advancement of the research and technological research on the sea. We are currently awaiting the publication of the qualification decree by the presidency. I would like to share with you that we were expecting this from 15 years. And since I took place in 2019, I put this on road, and now in this year, we have already, but it was just waiting the decree by the president about the National Institute from the Ocean. Another initiative is to combat the oil at the sea. We launched in 2019 the emergency call in the amount of 7.5 million, and then the MCTI call with a total investment of 12 million from MCTI to face this tragic situation. That I would like to say that was tragic and was a disrespect that we have to face, and was produced in the international waters, and we have to be aware about that. The monitoring these ships and somehow to observe to avoid next problems, and we are working for that. Also, we launched at the MCTI Sea Oil Monitoring System because of that. Not only because of that, but this make this faster. The oil monitoring system that we call SISMON MCTI. The amount invested in this initiative is 30 million from the National Institute for Space Research, INPE, to develop a multiple-user system for detection, prediction, and monitoring of the oil spills at the sea. The project foresees cooperation of research network between research institutes and universities. We launched the public call at CNPq for the fight against plastic in the ocean, in the amount of 15 million to develop diagnostics and technological strategies to combat pollution in the sea and marine environments caused by plastic and its products. We invest 17.5 million for the maintenance of the Vital Oliveira, our very important equipment, let's say that way, in the essential research infrastructure for science in different research areas, include the ocean observation, geology, marine biodiversity, among others. We launched also the public call for projects of ocean observation and monitoring system related to the global system observation of the global oceans that we call GOOS, Brazil, in the amount of 6 million, aiming the collection, quality control, operational distribution, and oceanographic data and oceanographic and climatology in the South Atlantic and tropical. We launched also the public call for citizen science in the amount of 6 million to support citizen science and scientific dissemination projects in scientific, technological, and innovation research. We launched the public call also for biotechnology, include a line for marine biotechnology in the amount of 80 million. And we are preparing the next public call for support scientific, technological, and innovation research developed in Antarctica with 30 million, and will be invested in this year with the Brazilian Antarctic Program, ProAntar, celebrating 40 uninterrupted years of research on frozen continent. This is a longest running Brazilian scientific program that I would like to share with you. All these initiatives are added to our continuous work of scientific management and promotion in the projects such as Pirata. For Brazil, the knowledge of oceanic and atmospheric process over tropical Atlantic Ocean represents an impact that ranges from the ability to predict climatic phenomena of great social and economic impact. For example, dots over the northeast of Brazil, to the Brazilian capacity to know and explore in a sustainable way the sea source in the tropical Atlantic. For the world, the Atlantic Ocean is fundamental for global climate prediction and understand the physical and dynamic process in the Atlantic affects the climate not only in the countries coastal of the Atlantic, but over the entire planet. The MCTI monitors and supports include budgetary resource, of course, the execution of Pirata project activities, and the project has been carrying out its objectives for 25 years and achieving the expected results, training human resource, operating system, and spending national capacity to develop and manage oceanographic observation system. The project longevity with the data collection allowed the estimation of decadal change and trends in the climate, thus being important in monitoring of preserving the impacts of climate change. I highlight the work cooperation with the Triatlas project with different research groups and institutions. This exchange of information and discussion benefits everyone and researchers involved. Ocean science cannot be developed individually, and the Pirata project is a great example of cooperation, international cooperation, that is fundamental for the success of research. I emphasize my gratitude and engagement with the US and France. In Brazil, the logistical support of the Brazilian Navy is essential. And I would like to highlight that for the success of this project and other actions of the ministry. I appreciate everyone's commitment, and I wish a fruitful discussion in this morning and the next days. Thank you, Paulo, to organize everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, Secretary Marcelo. It's a pleasure to be here. First, the Secretary already mentioned the authorities here, so again, Secretary, it's a pleasure to be with you again in our third, fourth. I lost counting how many projects we have together. So it's a great pleasure. I'm learning to work, especially over your leadership in this area of space sciences related to the Earth, and you're fully supported. Have been giving to INPE and the Brazilian science, including the ocean science, in involving the creation of a new institute, which is the Ocean Institute. So that's a great achievement, and organizing the house, preparing the next 10 years. And so I would like to start registering in this important meeting the contributions that the Ministry of Science Technology, and especially Secretary Marcelo, have been giving to this area. So it's a pleasure, really, 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 it's a pleasure to work with you. And again, with our partners in France and United States, Matthew, France is one of the first visits I had in my career a long time ago. And also IRD, our partners, thank you for being here with us. And Noah also is a long-time friend from early studies in satellites and important studies for meteorological, and then certainly for the oceans. So thank you for being part of this table with you. It's a pleasure. And in occasions like this, like a Pirata 25, I split the speech usually in two big questions. First one is what we have done. What we have done, 25 years. And the second one is, so what? So these are the big two questions. So Marcelo gave us a comprehensive speech, providing the huge overview of the intense activities that the Ministry and the INPE have been doing. I'll try to be a little bit more specific in order to complement what the Secretary just said. So I took some notes here too, because first note, in 1997, when the project started, I was starting my PhD. So let's give a clue that I had to research before doing my speech here. And I remember here the project, I was talking to Paulo, start the name of the project, what should we do, and you decided, a group of 5 or 6 people decided the name. And the original name was Pilot Research Moored Array in the Tropical Atlantic. That in 1998 changed to Prediction and Research Moored Array in the Tropics, in the Tropical Atlantic. And it's always have been a moored array of those balls. And then modernly Prediction and Research Moored Array in the Tropical Atlantic, Pirata, which is international moored array of sensors that we have been used in INPE. And why do Space Research Institute has to do with that? Because in Brazil, we do the numerical modeling forecast. And numerical modeling forecast has been a problem of start conditions, and which is a massive data analysis. So we have been used this data for a long time for climatological studies. And it has been proved that it's useful for predicting our dry season here in Northeast. So the intensity of the dry season, it will be a more severe or less severe, is strictly related to what we see in the Atlantic Ocean. So thanks to this project, we know that today. And we can now take action. So the first part of what we have done, it's clearly responded by this statement here. It's for sure an in-contest result that have been used for science and society. So that's the first point. The second point is just to register, in the first report of the Pirata Project, yes, I went to the reports. And the first report was written in 1998 in Brazil, of course, by the captain of fragata Roberto Figueiras Carvalho. He wrote in the report, let me recover here in the report, okay, found it, that the first launch, the first mood was installed at latitude 00.0.67 south, close, very close to the equator, geographic equator. And that in that, then 14 degrees north and 7 degrees north, the third launch was done. So in 1997, in January 1997, the three first sensors were set. And all of those in 35, 38, and 38 degrees westward. Meaning it was an achievement in that time for us. And we have been doing since. Currently, Pirata is successful. We just passed a phase of what we have been doing as a managers of the science, what we call a process, which is normal for looking for foundings, money, and regulations, etc. And we crossed the first barrier. Now the question starts, so what? What is that for? What are we using for? And with the information that I just mentioned, that it's important for our climate scenarios, I would like to let you know, if you are not aware, of course, that INPE is developing a new global numerical model. We just started a year and a half ago a new numerical model, new global numerical model. It will be an adaptive mesh, not only latched long, it will be a different mesh. And all the data that we will have access, we'll put in the model, because it's not only a numerical meteorological model, it's going to be a numerical environmental model. We're going to have gases, and ocean in that spirit is one of the key problems that we have to solve here. The other one is the Andes, but the mesh will help us to solve the Andes numerically better. The problem with the oceans is that even now, the forecast in Brazil, it's poor for those cities around the oceans, especially here in this area of Brazil. We just implement a multimodal approach in INPE, and we reduce our errors of the model for the 3-day forecast. And now we standardize. The error is kind of normally distributed all over the country, but it's still close the ocean. We do have some issues to solve in meteorological problems for forecasting. I'm not sure if the Pirata itself or alone may help us to solve this issue with the forecast. But these problems certainly help us with the climatological issues, which is one of our time goals for this numerical model that we have been developing. First delivery of this model should be in 1 year and a half from now, and the full model should be operational in 10 years. It's a 30-institution development in open code, and everybody is welcome with a national committee of more than 30 leaders in meteorological research in Brazil, and it's open for contribution for everybody. And that's something that I would like that Paulo keep in mind, because this integration strategy that Marcelo have mentioned, we are also aware of, and we are also following the steps in the leadership of our ministry in this way. So this program, it's a good help for the problem if it is integrated in the bigger program, which is the numerical model for serving the whole society in Latin America, especially in Brazil. With that, we will reduce our mesh we are modeling with 7 kilometers resolution. We're going to reduce to 3 kilometer resolution around the Latin America, and 10 kilometers resolution all over the world, with the possibility to reduce up to 1 kilometer for smart cities purpose and reprocessing using our output as an input of the smart city. So this is a 10-year project that certainly Pirata fits in. With that in mind, I'd like to bring this discussion with a small contribution to your workshop here, which I should say indeed, our workshop. I'm a space science people, but I'm still learning about what I've been doing in oceans. Haven't even dived. So up from the surface to upwards, but I'm a aficionado for that. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, Marcelo, and thank you, the other partners here, for being part of this important meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So Frédéric Marin is officially the representative of IRD. He is not here. He couldn't be there, so maybe he sees us through the website, but so I will say some words for IRD. I would like to first recall what is IRD. IRD is a French Research Institute for Development, and it acts in every domain of science. Science, health, society, environment, and also climate, and so on. And they are present in many countries, in southern and developing countries, mostly in South Africa, West Africa, and in South America. There is different tools for doing that, for science and capacity building. We have some mixed laboratories. We have long durations staying of researchers in laboratories, in universities. And in Brazil, there is a long time that IRD collaborates with Brazil. Some example with FUNSEME in Fortaleza and University of Pernambuco in Recife for a long time. One major success, a recent success, is the mixed laboratory Tapioca. That's very successful and will continue. We had other projects with Moacir Rojo, with pilot, and it's important to notice that UFP, so Recife, with the University of Toulouse and IRD support a capacity building program, master and PhD in Benin, West Africa. They're committed, so that's an example of what is going on thanks to the IRD support and funding. A long time ago, first sonographer was at Orstom. Orstom is the first name of IRD. It's well known as under this appellation. And I don't remember, but I think that Orstom oceanographer was one of the pioneers of oceanography in the tropical Atlantic with their colleagues in the US and early Brazil. And I remember when I was in PhD, focal sequal cruises, and that this is the first success of multinational effort. I think Pirata is an exact continuation on the long duration, but of this first success of collaboration between US, and Brazil, and France. And I remember our colleagues, now most of them are retired. So I have a thought also to the pioneers of Pirata. Some are there, 25 years ago. Mike Fadden, it was a master because he had the PMEL, one of the most important laboratory for Pirata. So I would like to mention Mike Fadden, the very first pioneer, Paolo, Janice, thought also to Jacques Servin, that was also there. So anyway, so it's important, I think, to not forget that the Pirata, it's a long time also before 25 years. They thought about that earlier. So it's the fruit of several decades of collaboration and thought and thinking and science exchanges. So IRD, of course, it supports Ørsted. IRD supports Pirata from the early steps. It's important for IRD, through collaboration and conventions with Météo France, that to support this program to gate the vessel type and to ensure the funding. And qu'est-ce que je vous dis ici là? IRD, the MOU is a key document to commit the different organisms. So IRD will continue, and I tell that IRD will continue to support Pirata while with the time there is a MOU and a strong collaboration, an efficient collaboration with the partner of NOAA and Brazil, INPI and DHN, and other partners, FONSEME, UFP, SREMA, and so on. So I will let there is two laboratories IRD is acting and supporting for Pirata. That's the Lagos. We have some representative of Lagos here. And in Lagos is a research unit. But don't forget also that there is some support unit with engineers and technicians, as IMAGO. IMAGO is a unique team only with engineers and technicians for supporting research oceanography. It's a fragile, but IRD has the unicity of such a unit, and it's important to maintain them. So IRD will continue to support such structures to help and to maintain the Pirata effort. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm representing Météo France because Hervé Roquet couldn't be there. First, I would like to thank you for your welcome in this very nice place of Porto de Galinha. So as Bernard, I would like to remember the mission of Météo France. The first one is the protection of people and properties, and we build numerical tools to achieve this objective. So personally, I lead the team in charge to produce a new version of the climate models operated at Météo France. And I can tell you that the Pirata network helped a lot to improve the quality of these models. This is essential to participate to the IPCC exercises and contribute to Copernicus databases, especially with seasonal forecast, climate projection of sea level high, extreme events, heat wave, for example, heat waves, floods, as you had in Recife a few months ago, I think. And also I remember a very strong event, a precipitating event in June 2010. And so we work to develop numerical tools, numerical system to anticipate such events. So you understand that we build more and more complex Earth system model, which I hope are beneficial for everyone. So clearly we want to continue to have collaboration with the Pirata partners by supervising PhD students, as we did with Brazilian student. And it was for me a very great experiences. And we want to maintain a strong relationship with our US and Brazilian and obviously French partners, as we did during these last 20 years to keep Pirata alive for a long term. And Météo France will continue to support the Pirata program, even under financial cuts as currently. And personally, I'm working day by day to convince my general directors to continue to support this program, because I think it's a very wonderful program and very beneficial for all countries around the world. So thank you very much to your welcome.
Well, first of all, thank you. And on behalf of NOAA, many thanks to our colleagues in Brazil, INPE and MCTI, the Navy, DHN, and also to our French colleagues at IRD and Medio France for making this partnership so successful over 25 years. It's been a real joy to watch the success and see it flourish and be so wonderful. I also want to thank the individuals, and I know we're going to hear a lot about the individuals very soon. The individuals have really led Parada. They have dreamt of what Parada was going to be many years ago. And they have largely stuck with this program and made it work through their passion and dedication. And I don't think we can underestimate the power of that dedication. And I think we don't recognize them and thank them for that. Again, that insurance that Parada has been so successful. A word about NOAA's mission. NOAA's mission is all about science and service and stewardship. And we do so in order to understand and also to predict changes in climate, weather, oceans, and also to help our coastal communities. And so part of that element is around science. And it's also, we're also trying to help manage and preserve some of our precious resources. So we're very pleased that, and excited that Parada has been contributing to NOAA's mission for 25 years. And that's a remarkable success. And so thank you for that. And that's part of why NOAA has been supporting Parada for so long. 25 years of observing and learning about the oceans is pretty remarkable. From where I sit and looking at all the different observing activities across the global oceans, right? Parada is right up there at the top with some of the longest records. It's been around for a long time. It's developed a community of its own. And so again, I think it's a testament to the partnerships and also to the scientists and others who have envisioned the success here that Parada has realized. I know many of you know Dr. Rick Spinrad, who's now the head of NOAA. And while it's unfortunate he couldn't be here, I'm sure if he were here, he would have wonderful things and remark also about the remarkable successes of Parada, and he would offer his congratulations. I've only been in Parada for 7 to 8 years, I think. I've marveled at the commitment, again, of the community to support and promote Parada. I've been energized by the many scientists who are part of Parada, who use Parada data. And this week was another example where, again, there's a community here of the Triatlas community of marine ecosystem specialists and others who are here advancing, talking about marine ecosystems. And many of them are talking about Parada data, using Parada data, or we're all sitting to think about how can we work with them to help them address the questions they're trying to address around marine ecosystem health, life in the oceans. And so I think it's a great opportunity. And so with that, I think, it's wonderful to celebrate the success of Parada over the last 25 years. I've encouraged this group to think about the Parada of the future. It's not just the so what, it's the what's it going to be in the future. The good news is across the planet, the oceans are now recognized more so than any time in my career. The oceans are recognized now as a vital component of the Earth system, of the climate system. People everywhere now recognize the oceans are, touch their daily lives through commerce, through weather, through climate. And so it's a really great time to be promoting the oceans and looking for more resourcing and support and developing the next community of ocean researchers and practitioners who are going to develop and try to respond to some of those needs. And so, some of the challenges I see for opportunities for Parada that are, we discuss around and NOAA a lot are around challenges around sea level, subseasonal to interannual and decadal forecasting, climate change, food security and life in the ocean carbon and the climate crisis, that's not going to go away. Coastal community resilience and economies, extreme events, and I'm sure there's many things I haven't listed. Last night, Paulo mentioned dreaming and dreaming of the future. I hope Parada will start dreaming about its future of the next 10 to 20 years and think about how it can connect more directly to some of these needs. And I think this week was a good start. I think there are new observing technologies that can also be brought to bear, and there's a lot more coming from, the research community, the private sector community, the satellite community. There are all kinds of wonderful new technologies to answer the key questions. It's not just around, the technologies of old, it is around new capabilities. And I also see a lot of excitement amongst our next generation of oceanographers who want to take advantage of those new technologies and use them. And so I think there's a real opportunity again for Parada to do that. I think also Parada would benefit from connecting more with the modeling communities and those who can take Parada information and make it more useful and helpful and actionable. And so again, I think making those connections is a great challenge for Parada going forward. And I hope that Parada, the next, year or so will think strategically again, so echoing some comments from previous presenters here about, where are we going in the future? It's great to celebrate. You got to think about the future, right? So in 25 years, the leaders who are going to be sitting at the table can go, wow, we've had 50 years of success. In the first 25 years were this, and we had this great celebration and Recife, and then wherever they're going to have their next 25-year meeting. I don't know where that will be. They will happen in the US. I don't know. And lastly, I would just comment that I think looking around the audience here, I hope that we're thinking about the next generation of oceanographers and others, marine scientists, who are going to be working closely as part of Parada or touching upon Parada as they go forward, and enabling and empowering them to take leadership roles and lead the Parada into the future. And so with that, I'll close and again thank our partners and the many individuals who have made Parada such a success over the last 25 years, and look forward to the comments over the next day and a half about where we're, the challenges we always have to face. We know we always have problems, but there's a great, I think, opportunity in the future. So hope we can talk about that. So thank you very much.
So thank you very much for your words and actions, because we make a difference when we follow our words with actions. And INPE, IRD, Meteo France, and NOAA, and MCTI have done this. And to celebrate, because celebration is an essential component of humanity. To celebrate the ability to overcome difficulties. And this is what Pirata has been ever since. And for that end, I would like to, if you allow me, to show a collection of moments with my colleague, Janice Trott from DHN. We prepared a celebration that put the joy of working together, our humanity, into our physical science program. And I will do the following. I will put that in the computer, the presentation, and then we can follow on it. Okay. The computer is there. The microphone is here. Yeah, yeah. You hold the microphone. No, for me, I can. 2008 from the Pirata. And another highlight was 2017, one more click, the multi-mission, because we were very focused on the buoys, to have the buoys functioning. It is remarkable that with all vandalism that occurred, that the system had more than 80% of data return. Mike McFadden will cover this later with more care. But we did this to have 60 researchers and students on board of Vital de Oliveira. And that was a wonderful moment, which was followed by the renewal of our new Memorandum of Understanding that we kept renovating, extending, and signing again. In 2021, we had a new draft of the Memorandum of Understanding that has been signed. It was a battle too, to overcome all the juridical, legal questions, and today. And we bring us to today. So we are arriving from a long journey. And today is just the beginning of a new journey. As they well put, what our challenge, Clésio put, what's next? So what we do with this legacy that's already there. And then I would like to ask Janice to bring the human dimensions, and we will exchange how we will operate the computer.
Okay.
Okay, please, Janice.
Thank you very much, Paulo. Thank you, Mr. Marcelo Morales, for being here with us. It's a great pleasure to host you in this 25th Pirata meeting. It's a real honor to some of us that, as you'll see very shortly, that have been here hanging for 25 years, and we have many people in this room to feel the recognition coming from the highest possible level of our government to this initiative. So as Paulo mentioned to you, this is some sort of an amusing talk. We are not providing science, but we are providing the basis for the science we make and the deliverables that we have been able to bring to the table and to our societies as a whole. Those are the landmarks that Paulo presented, and I'll try to follow with some illustration what he had just said. So this is the very first Pirata meeting. You can definitely see that gender balance was there, right? No question about it. Lots of men, one woman, but anyway, we keep trying, and I'm pretty sure that those young ladies will certainly change the picture for the next pictures of Pirata. So this was Natal, February 96, and one thing that I think is interesting to mention to you, we started the Pirata arrangements in Brazil together with the global observing system in Brazil as well. So we considered from very early days that Pirata was one of the most important observing networks. I could say the first one we ever had for the tropical Atlantic. So that is an important landmark, and we had many representatives from the HN there. The vice director, the commander of research vessel Antares. You can see Jacques Servan clearly just behind him. That's Paulo Nobre, Mike McFadden, Tony Busalaki, Divino Moura. I think that's it. Márcio Viana. So those were the bunch that were trying to make it happen. One other important aspect that I think is important mentioning here is the dimension that Pirata turned to, not only in terms of science, in terms of observing the Atlantic, but also in terms of geopolitics and the embracing of Africa into this program. That was really important. And I think we have to pay a tribute to Bernard Bourles to some extent, and Moacir Araújo for the many students, PhD students that they already had dealing with Pirata data. So this was a very famous meeting. It was held in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Bernard is smiling, I don't know why, but anyway. And we also had the occasion to get on board Lantea. That's the research vessel that France used to do Pirata services. And a tribute to Jacques Grelet as well. He's a great personality. You want to say something, Bernard?
Yes, we have a talk to Jacques Grelet, who just retired on last Friday. So he's retired now.
Okay, so we have something in common, Jacques Grelet and myself. So then we kept meeting, but most of all, exchanging views and notes as time was going by. The amount of logistics and operations that pertain to Pirata is immense, is really immense. And as Paulo said, this is the signature of the first Pirata Memorandum of Understanding. And at this moment, I wish to pay a tribute to Ken Mooney. He's there with a blue arrow. He's been instrumental for this thing to happen in the USA. And there's João Lorenzetti with, you know, dark hair. He's not around, is he? No. Jacques Merle as well was very instrumental from the French side to have designed. Time flies. Then there you go, Pirata 11th, we were back to Natal, the same place where we had the 1996 meeting. There you go, those were the survivors there. And then we met again in Fortaleza in 2017, on which occasion we had the opportunity to meet on board our research vessel Vital de Oliveira and launched a stamp, a commemorative stamp for the 20 years of operations of Pirata. We were talking about the human dimension. Dave has made a clear mention to the importance of people to amalgamate the real drive, as I put it, to Pirata. And those are some special moments when we met. We had our last in-person meeting was held in Marseille, if I'm not mistaken, 2018. And that's our last picture before this one. So next, Paulo, please. And I also wish to pay a tribute to those that are not here physically or even in their own lives. In 2002, we had the honor to host a visit of NOAA administrator, at that time, Admiral Lottenbacher. So you can see the very first picture, Admiral Lottenbacher walking at the HN, just below a picture of Rick Spinrad, the present NOAA administrator, visiting what we had in the past, and I think it was very important for Pirata as well. For some years, I think 6 years, we had an IOC UNESCO regional office supporting goose in Brazil. And it was hosted at the HN, and that facilitated a lot, our mobility, our logistic questions, and even sometimes we got some sort of a exchange of finances going on that helped a lot for us. So we are much obliged to NOAA for that regard. Some other people that I think were also instrumental for the success of Pirata, and I mentioned Neville Smith, Yves Tregloss, that's the picture right in the middle, and just below, Divino Moura, and Jim O'Brien. Jim O'Brien was from Florida, right? Yeah, so he was, it's funny because he used to say, I love El Nino, because that's when we don't get hurricanes in the Atlantic. So you guys forget about it. Let's not measure anything. Let's keep nature as it goes. Anyway, I was posted at the Ministry of Science and Technology for 3 years, and at that occasion, I had the opportunity to visit the White House and meet with Jerry Miller. He was another champion for Pirata in those days as well, and Peter Dexter from WMO. Next, Paulo, please. So it all relates to people, and I completely agree to that, in our ability to work together. You may think that it's been a love story. No, it has not. Sometimes we were really keeping some nasty fights, but like any sustained relationship, we have our downs, but then we go up and keep moving. This is one issue that was really stressful, and it is still really stressful for Pirata's history, vandalism. And I was told in my IOC days that I cannot call it vandalism because in legal terms, a vandalism is when you prove that something has been done on purpose. If you, as a fisherman, just try to hook your boat to a pirata buoy and you destroy it completely, I mean, the sensors, that's not to be considered as vandalism. So this is a difficult time for us in this regard. And this is one interesting example. That's regular practice as well, sometimes get this message from NOAA saying, look, your buoy has changed direction and it is sailing at 11 knot speed. So that's when we know that it has been vandalized. It has been cut, and this is one example. This boat, this fishing boat, was fishing very close to Trindade Island, one of our oceanic islands. So we got the information, and we managed to have some guys from our scientific station that is maintained by the Navy as well. So they got on a flex boat, went to the fishing boat, and witnessed that the Atlas buoy was on board. You can see the payload there. You can click, Paulo. No, click, give another click. So it was on board the fishing vessel. And even though they had all sorts of excuses, well, we found this thing drifting in the ocean. But that was some sort of event that we have managed to punish the fishing boat. And it's educational, but it works much better when it comes to fining. And please
note in the equipment that say that, well, this is a governmental whatever.
Yeah. We do have. But then again, there comes this matter that vandalism, you have to prove that it has been done on purpose. And I mean, this is a long story that I need to make it short for the sake of time. But what we heard recently, not so recently, but some time ago, is that they are doing what they call a yo-yo. They come with a fishing vessel. They have another fishing vessel sitting over there, and they pull the buoy because it has a flexible cable. And as the buoy moves back to its original position, the whole fish stock that stays around the buoy get on their nets. So it's a very profitable sort of fishing, you see. But then the equipment doesn't last for that long. I mean, they keep pushing, and this yo-yo sort of thing is, we are monitoring that, but we do have some legal barriers that do prevent us from punishing on an exemplary manner those guys. Anyway, let's keep moving.
In our jogral here, this is important to mention that this was the first time in which we exercised the ability of Pirata to put together information to realize. And Fabricio will remember that we asked the Mercator currents at the time, and we discovered that the buoy was going upstream. And then we asked Mike McFadden if by any chance the buoys had propellers. And said, no, no have propellers. So it was using the ship propellers. And the funny thing is when the Navy ship approached this fishing boat and said, you have on board something is property of the government of Brazil. And the fisher, people got really apologetic. And they, in fact, they sailed back to Ilhéus, where they handed to the Navy the collected buoy. So it is many hands approach. Every time is different. And another time we had the German ship that collected one of the buoys. Was that?
It was just recently. Two of the buoys was recovered in 2021 during the Sonic Cruise 285.
Yeah.
Brixton by the ZMT. That was during the Corona pandemic, so that was the cruise after my cruise.
Yeah, Peter Brandt just mentioned the two buoys that the Germans recovered, the several buoys that DHN recovered. This was one of them. The last one was this year, Cruzeiro do Sul, that the buoy was circling and eventually it started drifting south, and the DHN sent the ship to chase the buoy.
Yeah, well, we have many instances of the same thing, but one interesting was reported by Bernard Bourles, if I'm not mistaken. They were on the French vessel doing the French mooring, and when they arrived at the site, there was a fish boat from Belém, do Pará, Brazil, hooked to the array. So the chef on board was Portuguese. So he interrogated over the radio, look, we are a French vessel. You are hooked to one instrument that belongs to the government, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, oh, okay, no problem. I'll get out. You can do your job. No sweat. So they left the buoy, stayed next to the French vessel. It was taking a bit long, and the chef interrogated again, are you taking too long? And the guy said, why? Oh, because we want to come back. So those are instances that you have in Pirata's history that can claim to the sort of innocence of those guys. They're there to fish. They're not there to destroy. This is a true fact. But they do destroy the equipment, and it's very costly. Not only the equipment, but sailing with a vessel to recover what's been drifting. Anyway, so this is the pirata of Pirata, as I call, right? We keep going, we keep going. Okay, and finally, this is the Au revoir Pirata meeting for Bernard Bourles, for Moacir Araújo and myself. It's been very difficult for me to leave my baby after 25 years, but there are new missions ahead, and we need some new blood to come up on stage and do the business. But at this moment, I wish to thank you all so very much for the companionship, for friendship, for our construction, wishing that Pirata stays for much longer, and not just an au revoir mention, but a rebirth. And I give the floor back to Paulo. Thank you so very much for all the support to our participation. I must say that the Brazilian Navy recognizes the importance of Pirata, and that has been clearly spelled to so many of you. Thank you.
Okay, just this is last slide. I would like to mention rebirth. We say au revoir, in English is goodbye, and in Portuguese is até logo. It all have the sense of continuity, of being reborn. And there is a very beautiful poem in Brazil. I don't remember now the author. It says about the river that gets into the ocean. And the river resists getting into the ocean because the river knows that whenever he gets there, he will disappear as an existence. But there is no way back. The river has to go forward always until it becomes ocean. And he finds, wow, it's a new life and other fish and other things. And so I think we must exercise this among us, become ocean for our special contributions. And then I cited the last bullet from João Lorenzetti's presentation yesterday, because this is a material demonstration of rebirth. João Lorenzetti was one of the first piratees, and he stayed with us for a time until one day he called me. Then he went to do other things. He said, Paulo, see what I'm seeing here at 4 North, 38 West. Some solitrons waves appears to be. I said, oh, João, great. Why don't you present it in our next meeting? It was yesterday. So that is the rebirth, that we are always progressing in different roles in our collaboration into what Pirata represented and what we represented to Pirata, and for the forthcoming years of Pirata that we'll discuss later. And in talking to rebirth, we have a very good news here in Brazil. Our secretary already mentioned the National Institute for Ocean Research, INPO, and we have with us here the president of the institute. And I know that I'm running a little non-stop, and I would like to consult with you if you would like us to have a 5 minutes, 10 minutes break to take a glass of water and walk around a little bit. And I don't know with the organizer if there will be what time the coffee break happens. But maybe I would suggest that we do a 5-10 minutes break now, and then we will have Sejan Stephens to talk about briefly what INPO is, the new institution, and then we will close the morning with Bernard's presentation, the solidity of the science that we have, and what we see from this standpoint, scientifically, what is awaiting for us. That's okay? Okay, thank you very much. Then again, our opening authorities and colleagues in science, it is really wonderful that you could be here and to testify what is going on with the project. Thank you. So see you in a few minutes.